USS Long Beach, the narrowest, tallest, nuclearist cruiser ever built by the US Navy. Some say the ship was ugly as hell. I personally found it beautiful in its ugliness. It represented America at sea for 30 years, took control of the Vietnam skies during the war, and that is why I made a Lego model out of it. At the beginning of the 50s, the US Navy, with its powerful aircraft carriers and battleships, controlled the oceans. The Soviet Navy at the time was made of a series of crappy second-class cruisers and destroyers, and the Chinese Navy wasn't even a thing yet. During the Second World War, American aircraft carriers used a combination of their onboard fighter aircrafts and their own defensive weaponry to defend their ships from incoming dive bombers, with mixed results. But right at the end of the conflict, the Germans introduced the first guided bombs dropped from bombers, and the Japanese used their kamikazes with considerable success. If those two defensive systems didn't protect aircraft carriers in 1945, they certainly wouldn't work in 1960 against the squadrons of fast communist jet bombers equipped with supersonic missiles with huge warheads on their noses. Something had to be done. The Americans had so much money invested on their armed forces that they developed not one, but 3 different missiles to protect their ships. Tartar was the smallest of the bunch, with a range of 18 miles and was designed to be installed on frigates and small destroyers. Terrier was essentially an improved Tartar equipped with a massive booster on the tail to increase its range from 10 to 40 miles, depending on the models. But this is America. We need something massive, the biggest missile in the world. Here comes Talos, the biggest of them all. Talos was as big as a small jet fighter and could fly at Mach 3 and hit a target at 130 nautical miles on its final models. At the time, the United States started construction of the first nuclear aircraft carrier, the mythical USS Enterprise, and they needed a huge nuclear warship that could carry these massive first-generation missiles and their bulky guiding systems to protect it. This is the reason why USS Long Beach was built. Earliest concepts of the ship included Regulus cruise missiles and even Polari ballistic missiles, but they were never installed. The ship carried 2 Terrier launchers on the front, plus a huge Talos launcher on the rear. Since USS Enterprise already carried anti-submarine planes and helicopters, Long Beach never received a hangar, although it had a landing pad. Instead, the ship carried a HASROC launcher on the middle of the ship, plus the traditional triple torpedo tube launchers. Over the years, I've read lots of books that classified HASROC as either a rocket or a missile. Please comment below because I don't know which one is the right designation and why. The idea was to arm the ship only with missiles, but during a presentation for President Kennedy, the ship was unable to hit the target drone with its missiles, so he insisted that the ship should carry at least 1 cannon for self-defense. To solve this, 2 5-inch cannons taken from World War II destroyers were mounted on the middle of the ship. In 1964, Long Beach joined the Enterprise plus the guided missile destroyer USS Bainbridge to create the first all-nuclear task force, performing a world cruise of 30,000 miles in 58 days at an average speed of 25 knots, without being refueled or resupplied. Some years later, the ship was sent to Vietnam, where it was used to sanitize returning US strike aircraft, ensuring that no enemy aircraft were attempting to evade identification by hiding amongst the returning friendlies. The ship assisted an F-4 Phantom II to intercept an Antonov AN-2, and in May 1968, Long Beach became the first warship in the world to shoot down a plane using its missiles. In this case, a MiG was shot down by a Talos at more than 100 kilometers of distance, while another MiG was destroyed flying through the debris of the previous interception. In June of the same year, another MiG was also shot down. With the introduction by the Soviet Navy of the new nuclear battlecruisers of the Kirov class, USS Long Beach went through a modernization, which included the removal of the Talos, replaced with boxes for Tomahawk missiles, adding Phalanx, Seals and Harpoon missiles, plus replacing the Terrier missiles with standard SM-1 extended range. The older radar installed on the superstructure was removed and replaced, and new flagship facilities were installed instead. In this configuration, the ship continued to serve with the US Navy until 1994, taking part on the Gulf War. There was some consideration of performing an even more extreme upgrade, which included replacing the entire bridge with a new one equipped with an Aegis system and vertical launch missiles, but due to the end of the Cold War, construction of the much cheaper to operate Arleigh-Burkes and Ticonderogas, it was decided instead to remove from service all nuclear cruisers. USS Long Beach was removed from service in 1994 and scrapped shortly after. I made a small chest that shows all the combat ribbons awarded to the ship during its long career. I think it looks really nice near the model. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the model and the video. It was really expensive to make this ship. Thank you and see you next time.